Hey folks, BlackCross here, and welcome to another discussion video in regards to the latest trailers that we have gotten within Kingdom Hearts 3 at E3. So, I want to go ahead and just talk about all the stuff that we just had happen at E3 in regards to it, because despite what some people might think, we've gotten a lot of details in terms of what's going on behind the scenes with Kingdom Hearts 3. For starters, let's talk about the biggest thing, being that of the official release date of January 29th, 2019. Now, a lot of people will probably do one of two things. Either one, they'll nag about why it was delayed, or two, they'll be one of those people that be like, they called it and said that it was going to be delayed. And technically, we can clearly say that this is actually Kingdom Hearts 3's first initiative delayed. Because technically, before they announced the official year, it never had an actual release date. Now we can actually say that it had technically been delayed, because they were saying 2018 for like the past 6 months, I want to say now. And so, for us to now know that instead of it being somewhere within November or December of 2018, it is now going to be in January 2019. And this to me is actually good news to hear, because that means that, number one, we no longer have to hear the phrase, oh, it's going to get delayed, it's going to get delayed, it's going to get delayed, because technically now it has been delayed. But it's another good news because they're taking every precaution to make certain that this game does the best that it can be. And in terms of fanbase wise, everyone seems to be a little bit chilled about this, which is a good thing, because that means that no one's like crucifying it or whatever, or praising it for that matter. It's fairly subtle, and I think for a lot of us fans of the Kingdom Hearts series, I think we're willing to accept the fact that technically we're having to wait a little bit longer, but because of how long we've waited and for how much we've seen, I think we're willing to take our time with it and to allow it to be developed even further. Because here's the thing. Because Kingdom Hearts is going to be on a different engine, and because of how it's going to look, I think a lot of us are going to be like, it's going to be well worth the wait at this point. We can just wait it out. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, you've waited 12 years. Technically, 12 years after Kingdom Hearts 2. It's only been in development for over 5 years now. By the time it gets to January, for that matter, it will be 5 years technically. So, don't go quoting what people say that, oh, well, it's been 12 years in development. No, they never developed Kingdom Hearts 3 after Kingdom Hearts 2. They only started development 5 years ago, back in 2013. So, despite what people might think, they don't know technically how long it actually has been. We only know it started development 5 years ago, back in 2013 at E3. So chances are, there was probably some details that may or may not have been pushed out, but we know they didn't concentrate solely on Kingdom Hearts 3 until 2013. So, with that being said, if we have to wait a few more months until Kingdom Hearts 3 gets completely done, then so be it. And I actually like it too, because that gives a chance for me to be able to play other games that I'm excited for 2018, whenever those other game gets announced, that is, per se, because Code Vein is September, still waiting on Biomutant and Bloodstained, so until those two gets announced, for the time being right now, Code Vein is my biggest game for this year right now. And Kingdom Hearts 3, whenever it comes out, I'll have all the time in the world I could want to play that one. Unless, for some reason, Devil May Cry gets announced to be released for February, in which case, shit. But I sincerely doubt that. I think that if it's going to come out anytime next year, it's probably going to be midsummer, maybe. Depends on. But, anyway, though, And for those that are probably asking, yes, I did in fact order the deluxe edition for Kingdom Hearts 3. I think everyone suspected that. Everyone knew I was going to anyway, so that's no surprise on that notion. But, I do want to kind of go ahead and throw this out there. I was actually hoping that they would have, like, some other Play Arts Kai figures rather than the Toys R Us, or not Toys R Us, Toy Story versions of Sora, Donald, and Goofy. I wanted the monster versions. And I know a lot of people are going to be mixed about that whenever I say it, but hear me out whenever I say this, okay? Technically, Sora Toy Story version doesn't look any different than his Kingdom Hearts 3 look per se. Now, admittedly, it's supposed to resemble toy-like, but at the same time, I actually would have preferred to have a monster version just because of how much cooler Sora looks in that form. But then again, after seeing the Pirates trailer for it, I actually wouldn't mind seeing a Pirates version Play Arts series for Donald and Goofy and Sora. But that's just personally me. I know some people will be mixed about that and everything, but it's a matter of, like, what do you prefer most? For me, it would be either between Monsters and Pirates, and for others, apparently Toy Story is that big hype thing. And in terms of, like, collection set, I was actually hoping for a lot bigger collection set. Now, admittedly, I wasn't expecting to see Play Arts Kai figures, per se. That was the one thing I was not expecting, because I figured if they did, they're probably going to push out the Play Arts Kai or Bring Arts Kai Sora figures. In which case, everyone else had probably already gotten them by now, so at that point, there's no point in just pushing any more out there. So it's like, what else can they do? Well, they could either do one of the drive forms or whatever else that they could push out. Instead, they went with the safer bet and went with the Toy Story versions. Now, record, you won't be able to get these anywhere else. In other words, the only way you can get them is if you pre-order Kingdom Hearts 3 in their deluxe edition, and then that's it. Square Enix will probably not be making them for the next 2 years, probably. And I say this because technically Noctis was a pre-order only. And then I think like a year after Final Fantasy 15 came out, they made Noctis again, but with a different weapon set. So, if you're not interested in getting it now, be patient, and chances are they'll make them again. They'll probably make Sora only, but Sora, Donald, and Goofy are only available through the pre-order of Kingdom Hearts 3. But probably within the next 2 years, they'll probably remake them again. We'll see. But, yeah, in that aspect, so, that's basically the only bigger thing in terms of, like, market-wise, I suppose you could say. Now let's get on to the actual in-game stuff. And by in-game stuff, I mean more or less of the story in general. And there's a lot to talk about, too, because what we have gotten is pretty insane. And it paints a picture for us a lot more than you think. So let's first talk about the 2 new worlds that's been revealed to us in terms of Kingdom Hearts 3. The 2 new worlds we have gotten now is Frozen and Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, I'm going to say this, and a lot of people are probably going to hate me now. Okay? A lot of people are going to hate me. I am not dissing it. I am not shouting it. I am just stating the obvious. Okay? We all knew Frozen was going to be in this. We all knew it was going to. The moment Nomura said that he watched this film and he loved it, we knew that he was going to put Frozen into Kingdom Hearts 3. We knew he was going to. It's that obvious. It's one of those, like, if someone says their favorite film, chances are it's going to be in it. That's one of the reasons why some of these films that you have seen are in Kingdom Hearts to begin with, because he has a large connection with them, probably. And Frozen is one of them. So it makes sense for why he would want Frozen in Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm sure he probably had a strong connection with Toy Story, then he probably wanted to go ahead and put it anyway, because it was deemed wanting to since Kingdom Hearts 1. And even Kingdom Hearts 2, but because they couldn't get the rights to Pixar yet, they couldn't do it. It's only until now that they can put Pixar in it. But we all knew Frozen was going to be in it, so I wasn't too overly hyped, but I was definitely in that lines of like, well, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but apparently it's just going to be a whole snow level, which I'm not going to argue that. That's probably a good thing, because technically the only other time that Sora has ever been to like a snow-like world was that of Nightmare Before Christmas's world, where technically half the world was Halloween Town, and then the other half was Christmas Town. So, in that same aspect, technically not. So, it's going to be interesting to see them interact with the snow level the entire time. Now, the biggest world that got my interest, the biggest world, which is the obvious, Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't think none of us was expecting Pirates of the Caribbean to make a return. Now, I'm not saying it in a bad way, I'm just saying technically it's within Kingdom Hearts 2. And from what they stated, every world, with the exception of Olympic Coliseum, was going to be a brand new world entirely. So we were like, okay, well that marks any hope for any other world. But apparently, Pirates of the Caribbean was loved so much to where they decided to push it out there. Now, there could be other reasons why, too. One of them is that technically it is the one only water world that they could work with, you know. It is one of those things where it's like technically they are at the ocean and they're dealing with pirate ships and stuff. That makes sense in some form of way. Another way being is that they're pushing out the ability that technically Kingdom Hearts isn't just a cartoony atmosphere. They're wanting to push out live action films and stuff. Proof of this is within Kingdom Hearts 2's case, where not only did they get Pirates of the Caribbean in there, but they were also able to get Tron in there as well. So, I wouldn't doubt in my mind within the next year or two, they'll probably want to do, well, I say next year or two, I mean the next segment of Kingdom Hearts per se, they'll probably put something like 2,000 Leagues Under the Sea, or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I forgot, I don't remember the title of that, but honestly, I wouldn't doubt in my mind that they would want to put that in there. I think that's probably an interesting ideal. Another good one would probably be... I don't have a large memory of what other live-action films would be good for Kingdom Hearts. I guess Hocus Pocus would be a good one. I think. Because that seems like it'd be interesting, because that is like a Disney favorite in terms of live-action films. So I wouldn't doubt that Hocus Pocus would be on there. It'd be interesting to see, per se. And it just... that trailer, when it came out, I was just blown away by the fact that not only did Pirates come back, and much less the world looks amazing, but when we got to hear Johnny Depp's voice being put in Jack Sparrow, I was like, is Johnny Depp reprising his role as Jack Sparrow in Kingdom Hearts 3 finally? Because that is pretty cool. I'm stoked. I'm really stoked to see this. I don't know how much money it took them to get Johnny Depp being put into Kingdom Hearts 3, and much less if Johnny Depp was like, I'll do it for cheap. I don't know what it was. It's just how they got him in there is beyond me. But it makes me super happy to know that. So, with that being said, I just can't wait for Kingdom Hearts 3 now because of Pirates of the Caribbean. That's going to be the best world in the game now. But, let's go ahead and talk about the gummy ships now. Now, the gummy ships, when Nomura talked about it, he stated that the gummy ships have changed to a point to where they have evolved. And I thought to myself, and I know a lot of people thought about this too, we thought Kingdom Hearts 3's gummy ship missions were going to be vastly different than what it had been previously. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's changed that much. There are some subtle differences, I admit, there are some subtle differences. For example, there are a lot more obstacles that needs to be avoided, and it looks like there are, like, bigger enemies that you have to fight now. Which is interesting, which that tells me that there could be more, gummy ship bosses that we could fight. You know, if you remember in Kingdom Hearts 2's case, there wasn't really a large amount of them, but there were, to some degree, a couple of them. I think I can name off at least, like, 2 that were unique. They weren't vastly different, but they were unique. The final one at the final gummy ship mission looked somewhat the same as the last couple times you fought that one looking thing. It may have been a different color, may have had a large HP pool, but it was technically the same one that you have fought previously. So, to see that the gummy ships is going this direction does get me excited. I'm hoping that customizations have changed since then, because if you look at earlier trailers, for example, this one trailer where they showcased the Game & Watch mini-games, they showed one of the shops being different. Now, technically, this shop was known as an accessory shop. Now, it has what looks like gummy pieces on the sign. So I'm hoping this means that now, instead of getting gummy ship pieces, we get to purchase said gummy ship pieces, and we can make it however way we want to. I'm hoping that's the case, because I actually prefer the customizations in Kingdom Hearts 1, but I do like the combat in Kingdom Hearts 2. So, in terms of gummy ship missions, I'm hoping they'll combine the two together in this one. Hopefully that'll be the case, but we won't know until, like, either the game comes out or until they officially announce it. But one way to know for sure, and that's to wait and see. But now comes an interesting part, and that is the story layout so far, and the story layout of what's going on in Kingdom Hearts 3. So, let's talk about the 2 new characters that's been added to the Organization 13, or rather the new Organization 13. They are Larxene and Luxord. Now, I may have butchered that name, but for the time being, that's how I'm going to pronounce it, is Luxord. But both of these 2 was in the organization before. But now, to see them again is very interesting, because now we can clearly see that they have been Norded. Now, apparently, this is a term that people have come up with just recently whenever they say the phrase that technically they are possessed by Xehanort's heart. And the only persons that have been like this before is that of Terra, Xigbar, and Saïx. Everybody else has either been former versions of himself or been created by Xehanort, being that of Vanitas. So, to see these 2 being Norded, it tells me that they are 100% controlled by Xehanort. Now, on the other hand, though, that only left with Marluxia, until someone mentioned that in the Japanese trailer, he is technically possessed by Xehanort. So, it makes me wonder, why is it that in the earlier trailers, we saw him with his regular eyes, but yet in the Japanese trailer, he's shown with ambered eyes. This kind of tells me that early on within the world of Tangle, he doesn't get possessed, but later on he does fully get possessed. So it kind of makes me wonder if that's the case, or if Marluxia was trying to show resistance against Xehanort, because technically, while Xehanort does control them, he doesn't have 100% control. Terra is a perfect example, because whenever he was possessing Terra's body, he does try to resist Xehanort to some degree. He tries. So, that tells me that Xehanort doesn't have a complete control over them, but he does have maximum control in some aspects. So to know that officially so far every one of them has been Norded means that so far Xehanort has a total of, according to what people have said, 11. I'm not counting 11, I'm counting 10, because until I see Ansem the Seeker of Darkness and Terranort in the same picture, I'm classifying them as one person, because here's my reason why. When you play through Burst by Sleep and you see Terranort, he technically has the same powers as Xehanort. Not Xehanort. He has the same powers as Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness. And that's because of the power that he has. His Guardian power. So, I'm thinking that technically Terranort is technically Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness. Because, why would Terranort and Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness, exist in the same picture? They're technically one and the same. In fact, wouldn't that be interesting that technically Riku was more right than he thinks in Burst by Sleep? I think that would be interesting. Because technically, Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness, was none other than Terra being possessed by Xehanort. I think that would be interesting. It'd be pretty hilarious if that was the case. But a part of me thinks that they are one and the same. A lot of people doubt it because of time manipulation. I don't think that's the case. If they wanted to, they could have had different versions of Xehanort from the past. Instead, the majority of them are mostly possessed Xehanorts. So, you try to convince me otherwise. You try to convince me otherwise that technically Terranort as well as Ansem Seeker of Darkness are not the same. You convince me that they're not the same. I think they are. I think they're the same person. Why else have we not seen them in the same picture? Anyway, though, another big story update, and one that hurts me the most. It hurts me the most. And that's to see Aqua being possessed by darkness. I don't know how time flows in the Dark Realm. And I think that's the weird thing, is that we know that time does not flow the same way in the Realm of Darkness versus the Realm of Light. Time flows differently. And I assumed that technically time slowed down in the Realm of Darkness. Or rather, let me put it this way. In the gap between when Aqua first entered in the Realm of Darkness and when she meets up with Mickey again, the time frame was, I think, technically Sora was, I think they said he was like 8. And so technically he's 12 or 13 in Kingdom Hearts 1. I think 12, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a 4 or 5 year difference, technically. So you tell me that within the 5 years that Aqua was in darkness, nothing happened between her and when she met up with Mickey. Because technically, by the time she entered in the Realm of Darkness and saved Terra, was the starting point. And then through 0.2 Fragmentary Passage, we go through the segment where she meets up with Mickey again, and this is slightly before the end of Kingdom Hearts 1. So, you tell me how time flows technically, because from the way I see it, it seems like time moves slower in the Realm of Darkness. So, what happened between when Mickey last saw her and when they made up again? Because as far as I know, technically it's been like a little over a year, technically. Keep in mind, in Kingdom Hearts 1, between what happened then and Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora was in Chain of Memories and he fell asleep in order to regain his memory, which has been technically a whole year. Who's to say how long it's been after that before Kingdom Hearts 3 started? Because the way Kingdom Hearts 3 started, it happened straight after Dream Drop Distance. And I don't think there's been much time that's happened. So if we had to say the time frame, it's only been about a year and a half. We'll say that much. It's only been like a year and a half since Mickey last saw Aqua. We're gonna say that much. I may be completely wrong on that, but I think that's the appropriate time frame that we're given. I think anyway. Maybe completely wrong, but I think that is. But what happened in the realm of darkness between that year and a half? Because if time hasn't moved that much in between the 5 years that Aqua was in the realm of darkness, then how much has happened between when Mickey last saw her and when they rediscover her again? What happened exactly? Because that's what doesn't make sense. Did the realm of darkness all of a sudden fast forward through time and it felt like 100 years and she got possessed by darkness? Or was the darkness all of a sudden overconsumed because of Xehanort's influences? Or maybe there was another reason per se. Or perhaps that isn't Aqua. Perhaps that's Phantom Aqua, taking a full manifestation form. That's a possibility too. I would actually be acceptive of that because Phantom Aqua is such a bitch. That boss, ugh. I think that's the most notorious boss that we've had since Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 2, the Lingering Will, has been the most notorious boss that we have had in ages. And then to have 0.2 Fragmentary Passage to top that, ugh, gosh. The bad thing is there's no way to cheat it. You have to time it perfectly in the hopes to be able to beat her. But I would rather beat her senseless than actually beat Aqua senseless. I even told my friends, I'll let Aqua kill me 500 times before I actually fight her, because I don't want to. She's my girl. Just, why are you making me want to fight Aqua Square? Why? What's making you do this to me? Oh gosh. But like I said, it's complicated to explain what happened because we don't know what did happen. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing, is to know what's happening behind the scenes through Aqua and everything like that. And I think whenever we see the segments between Riku and Mickey, we'll get to hear what happens in the realm of darkness between then and now. However, though, there is one other small detail that still needs to be looked into. I believe it was the second or third trailer. I think it was the third trailer. I don't remember. But we saw a brief scene of where we saw Replica Riku. Now, if you don't know who Replica Riku is, he's technically a clone of Riku from Chain of Memories. And that's because Vexen created a duplicate of Riku. And he was more or less created in order to handle Sora that was in Castle Oblivion. That was his only purpose, technically. However, though, that failed in some degree. And instead, Replica Riku more or less not only discovered that he was more or less a carbon copy, but he was trying to surpass the original Riku, which failed. Now, I don't know how he came back, and I don't know why he's back, but I'm sure, I'm hoping they'll explain that part. Because last I remember, technically Replica Riku was destroyed by Riku. That was the only thing I remember. So, to know that he's back, it makes sense now because of the earlier trailers when he said his other me. But now it makes even more nonsensical because technically Replica Riku is nothing but data to everyone else. He's just a clone. So, how is he back? And if he's back, does that mean Xion will be back? And for those of you that don't know who Xion is, more story speculation, so get ready to hang on to this. Xion was created the same way that Replica Riku was created, except in Xion's case, she was more or less to be a duplicate of a Keyblade Master, aka Roxas. Now, here's what happened during 358/2 days. When Xion was created, Organization 13 had this plan of having one superior key bearer. Now, record, while both of them were key bearers, they both wasn't to exist at the exact same time. They knew if they hanged on to Roxas, he would be posed as a threat to the organization. Not 100% of a threat, and they don't want to really get rid of him, but they also know that if he ever gets linked up with Sora, that chances are he would defect against the organization. So they figured, okay, Roxas will be a problem later on, so let's create somebody else that doesn't have a direct link to Sora. And maybe we can do something with this. And that's where Xion was created. What they wasn't expecting, though, was that Xion was absorbing the majority of Sora's memories from Roxas, and therefore she actually became more direct connected to Sora than ever before. There was even a point in time where Roxas couldn't use the Keyblade, and that was because Xion was stealing the majority of memories without even knowing, too. She never knew any of this was going on, but she was stealing the majority of the memories of Sora in the process of this. So, while at that instant, Xion was gathering more and more memories of Sora, and was able to use the Keyblade more so compared to that of Roxas. But eventually Roxas was able to wield the Keyblade again. So in other words, Sora's memory was split in half. And this became a problem in terms of Sora's gathering of memories because of Naminé. Naminé was trying to gather the rest of his memories, but unfortunately Xion had the majority of Sora, and so did Roxas. So the only way they could fix it is if, for some reason, they grab both of them. Or in Organization 13 case, destroy one of them and have the other one brought into their possession. And what happened was that Roxas ended up defeating Xion, and Roxas attained the majority of all of Sora's memories, while Xion faded into nothingness. So it makes me wonder, could they be planning on bringing Xion back? Because if Replica Riku's back, then Xion might come back as well. So in other words, not only do we have to contend with the fact that technically Roxas could come back in Kingdom Hearts 3, but so could Xion and Replica Riku. So we have a large cast of characters that are coming back. So that's interesting, I think. It's one thing that technically they're just bringing them back because of fan reactions. But I think they're bringing them back to implement them in a bigger scenario. And I'm interested to see how Square Enix is going to put this story together. Because to see that Replica Riku's coming back and Roxas is coming back mean that Xion is coming back. So in other words, my head hurts now. My head hurts. I did not expect myself to be thinking this hard, but I am. But yeah, I just want to go ahead and kind of throw everything that we have learned from these 3 trailers. I say 3, but 2.5 technically. But all these trailers that we have gotten so far. So in other words, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about this real quickly and then I'll stop. But we so far have a large amount of worlds invested now. We have, in terms of officially confirmed, we have Twilight Town. We're going to count Yangtze's Tower as part of Twilight Town. We've got Olympic Coliseum, Tangle's World. We've got Toy Story World, Monsters Inc. World, as well as Frozen and the Caribbean. And then, of course, there's still Big Hero 6's world, but that has not been showcased yet. It has been confirmed, but it has not been showcased yet. So if I had to be technical about it, I think we have a total of 9 worlds now. And that's not even including 2 other worlds that are 100% confirmed. We might as well say they're 100% confirmed. You know, we have Holobaction, or aka Radiant Garden. I have no doubt in my mind that we will be visiting that world at least once. And then of course there's the final world, which I think is going to be the Keyblade Graveyard. It all depends on where they take it. I have no doubt in my mind that the final world will be the Keyblade Graveyard. Somewhere in the story there will be a big climactic ending. But that will be determined by Square Enix, of course. but there could be a potential chance that there could be 1 or 2 more new worlds in the roster that we don't know about yet. Keep in mind, the quoting of Nomura was that there was going to be less Disney worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, I don't think he means that there's going to be less worlds entirely. There's going to be less Disney worlds, yes, but there's not going to be less worlds entirely. So chances are, there could be like 1 or 2 more worlds added into Kingdom Hearts 3. As to what they are, I don't know. I mean, keep in mind, there could be a chance that Jungle Book could be added onto it, because that was like one of the biggest worlds they wanted to add into Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. But that never happened. So I think they're probably going to add Jungle Book into Kingdom Hearts 3. If not, they'll probably add 1 other world entirely. But I'm still betting that there may be 2 other worlds we don't know yet. So, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But anyway, though, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about the trailers that we've seen so far. What are you most hyped for Kingdom Hearts 3? And until then, I'll see you in the next video. This is BlackCross signing off. Catch you later, guys.